El octágono.
Tenemos invitado especial acá, nos acompaña Vagner Rocha, quien va a estar peleando en Fight Time 14. How's your Spanish?
Speaking isn't as good as understanding. I speak Portuguese, so I kind of understand.
Portuñol, a little bit.
Portuguese.
Portugués. Bueno, we're gonna switch back to English in a second. Estamos acá en el octágono y tenemos un invitado especial, como les acabo de decir. Es Vagner Rocha, quien va a estar peleando en Fight Time 14 contra JP Reese. Esto va a ser el 26 de abril en Fight Time 14 en el Memorial. ¿Cómo se llama? Memorial War
Memorial.
War Memorial Auditorium.
Perdón.
Yes, my friend.
You know the problem is, and I was kind of talking with my wife about it, is that when you're speaking Spanish or English or a different language, sometimes you have to like think backwards because it's said backwards. So I'm always I sound stupid sometimes when I try to switch back and forth. So anyways, bueno, vamos a hablar acá con nuestro invitado en inglés. Si no entienden inglés, nos disculpamos con ustedes, pero toca hablar en inglés. We're gonna start off with the English now because obviously we have a very special guest here with us today, Vagner Rocha. How you doing, man? And first of all, thank you for taking time to talk to us and for coming into the studio. Not just talking to us, but coming into the studio.
Making the drive.
No problem. Thank you guys for having me today. I know it's Sunday, but there's fans out there, so we gotta get cater to them.
Yeah. And obviously, you know, we're gonna be asking you a whole bunch of boring fight preparation questions. How's the camp?
How's the weight cut?
How's the diet? Any injuries? Any updates? Or everything's all good?
Everything's good. You know, training's great. I got a lot of good guys coming with me in my school from my team. Weight cut is always easy. You know, I fought at 45 once, so 55 isn't an issue. Healthy, 100%. You know, ready to go, ready for war, ready to be at the fight time at the War Memorial and get another championship fight in.
What are your thoughts on your opponent, JP? Is there any animosity between you guys, or is just everything's good, being professional? Just another fight.
I got nothing against him. I mean, the only thing I got against him is that he asked to fight me. So if that's what he wanted, he's gonna get what he wants, and he's gonna feel the raft.
And how do you feel about that? Because I mean, in a sense, that's got to be kind of like a compliment. It's like, man, you know, this guy, he's out there doing big things. I want a piece of him, so it's kind of a compliment, but it's also like, man, why you want to pick a fight with me? So it's
it's a give and take. You know, it's he's giving me a compliment by saying, hey, you know, I want to fight this guy because he's tough, you know, but at the same time he's trying to take what's mine, and he's not going to take what's mine because I earned that. So.
And Fight Time Promotions, Carla Howard, they posted a picture of the new belt. That's your belt.
Yeah, that's my belt.
Have you touched it? Have you received it yet?
I haven't touched it. You know, they make a new belt almost for every championship fight. So the ones that I won before, I have at the gym. I have the title at the school, but at the same time, they're putting up a new belt, and you know, they're always trying to take care of us and make it as nice as possible. You know, so every time there's a win, there's, you know, some gratitude behind it.
Yeah, and I was watching some other promotional videos. Fight Time Promotions been putting a lot of effort into their pre-production. Yeah, like their pre-fight, pre-event production, and we've been seeing a lot more and more videos, these promotional videos. And I saw the one with you and JP, and he was pretty much saying that you have the jiu-jitsu, but he's like a second-degree belt in wrestling. So you know.
I've never heard of that, but that's funny, is it?
Yeah, and you know, obviously, like wrestling and jiu-jitsu are bitter rivals, you know, because if you're great on jiu-jitsu and you have an excellent wrestling background, you could kind of like, you know, fight it off, you know, at least defend the shoe, try to keep the fight standing up. And vice versa. If you have an amazing jiu-jitsu, you can, you know, you could keep the fight on the ground.
Exactly.
So, how do you feel when somebody says stuff like that? That, you know, he's got excellent jiu-jitsu, but my wrestling is superior.
He can say whatever he wants. At the end of the day, I guarantee you he's not training with anybody like me at his camp, even though he comes from an amazing camp. There is, very far and in between people like me that are actually at my level of jiu-jitsu. So he can say that, he can go over there and say, I train with jiu-jitsu black belts all the time. I'm a second degree in black belt in wrestling. But at the end of the day, look at my credentials and go find somebody in his camp that's done what I've done in jiu-jitsu or in MMA, or in anything. So, if that's how he feels, then, like I said, he's gonna find out the truth come April 26th. That's it.
Obviously we're not fighters, so we always I guess kind of just ask the questions and try to see it from your point of view. When somebody says, you know what, this guy, his jiu-jitsu is amazing, but my wrestling's better, I'm gonna take him down, I'm gonna ground and pound him, does that kind of motivate you to prove a point? The Nogueiras are very well known for that. Frank Mir as well, he's very known to actually he just came out saying that he's gonna take one of Daniel Cormier's limbs back home with him. So these jiu-jitsu guys, it kind of motivates them to prove a point on the ground. Is that the same case with you?
No, I'm better than that. I'm smarter than that. But at the end of the day, I know where I'm best. So if he takes what he's best and he tries to apply it against my best, then he's gonna be in trouble. But at the end of the day, I know it's a fight. I know it's not a wrestling match. I know it's not a jiu-jitsu match. I've said this before. So if he comes in with that head and thinking like that, he's gonna be in trouble. He's gonna take 2 steps backwards and go, whoa, hold on a second. It's not exactly like that.
Take it back.
Yeah.
I want to ask you a question. You being a ground fighter and being very well versed in jiu-jitsu, a lot of sort of controversy has come up in the MMA world, and people think that sort of the system that people judge fights is skewed towards wrestlers. I mean, we do know that having somebody in your guard in jiu-jitsu is considered neutral. There's no points there. But in MMA, usually if somebody's on top, they're winning the fight. That's how the judges see it. Do you think it's that way? Do you think wrestlers, they kind of give them a little bit of the upper hand when it comes down to fighting?
It has a lot to do with, I think, the judges that really have never been part of the sport, and now the sport is such an uprise that people are not exactly sure what how to judge a fight. So they see a guy picking up a guy and slamming him on the ground, and they think that is damage. I think if you're on your back and you're throwing punches and you're hitting the guy in the face, or you're hitting him in the body, or you're using your legs and you're trying to create distance, or you're putting up submissions, then the guy on his back is more offensive. It all depends on what's going on in the fight, and I think that the judges actually have to understand what the fight consists of to start judging better. Yeah, I think there is a little bit of that. Like, the guy, I've seen fights where the guy is getting clobbered on his feet for 4 minutes, 3.5 minutes, and then in the last minute he gets a takedown, and he's on top, and then he sits there and holds the guy for the next minute of the end of the round, and I've seen judges give that round away to the other guy. It's like, man, the guy went 3 minutes taking a beating on his feet to get a takedown, to then win a round with just because of a takedown. I don't think that's fair.
I think maybe some people are gonna start thinking that I'm a anti-GSP, but it's not true. I'm actually a fan of his, and GSP is actually, he's been titled to be one of the, if not the boring champion. But what he does is something like that. He'll shoot, he'll get the takedown, but he'll jump from one side to the other side, from one side, side guard to another side guard, and that's staying active. He throws a little bit of ground and pound, but it's kind of like the same thing. They say, well, he got the takedown, he's moving around, but the referee, he's not standing him up because the guy's jumping from left to right, but there's nothing really.
Yeah, GSP is effective though. He's effective at what he does. He doesn't take a beating on his feet and then takes the guy down. He's half the time he's controlling the fight on his feet, and then he sets up the right timing and he puts the people on his back. He may be boring, but he's effective, and he is the champion because of that. He wins fights because he knows how to mix his wrestling in with his hands, and he knows how to set up the right timing to put these guys on their back. So I with the GSP theory, I disagree with it. But there's other fighters out there that I'm like, the guy took him down and held him. He really didn't do anything. Like, why are they giving the fight away to him?
That's what Rampage is so well known. He hates it. He's like, don't give me wrestlers. I want to go out there and I want to bang. I want to knock somebody's head. I want to put on a show.
Yeah, but he might as well just go change his career and become a boxer then.
Yeah. Right, because it's MMA, it's mixed martial arts. But I think the best example of that is Nick Diaz, because he always beats up his opponents in the fights, and then he still says, well, how'd I lose if I beat them up? He might be on his guard, but he's always looking for submissions, playing high guard, and feet on the hips and always attacking. But then a lot of the times they give these points to the guys that are on top.
You know what? I used to see this more maybe like 5 years ago in fights where guys would take them down and just hold them. Maybe like in the like more like 5 years ago. Nowadays you don't see it, man. It's very rare you see it. I think majority of the wrestlers you can't take it away from them. They do damage on their feet, on takedowns, on everything. So, I haven't seen it as much as I used to, but you still see it in smaller events. I've seen it in smaller events where, I've had friends of mine fighting and they're like beating the guy up and then they get taken down and you're like, how, a takedown? So like that, the guy didn't do anything with it. Why are they giving him the round?
Yeah, so. He might have looked flashy doing something crazy on the takedown, but
yeah, exactly.
I agree with you, and I mean, I guess the whole reason we're bringing this about is because you're a master in jiu-jitsu. That's what you're known for, but you're also a very good striker. You proved it in your last fight, and in wrestling and jiu-jitsu, I guess there's kind of I don't know how do you want to. What's the right word to use? But it's MMA started out and it was these guys just going out there banging it out, just going crazy. Then the Gracies came along and they're like, what the heck is this Brazilian jiu-jitsu stuff? And then you started seeing some wrestlers like a Randy Couture who kind of were able to put a stop to those attacks. Not everybody could do it, obviously. And then we started seeing what's the dirty boxing and all this stuff. But nowadays, but nowadays, like you said, it's not. You see these fighters are evolving. It's not the same. It's not that easy to get a submission. Just like it's not as easy to get a takedown. People are evolving. So there was, I guess, a time, maybe not that long ago, maybe like 3, 4, 5 years ago, where they were saying, "Oh, wrestlers are canceling out jiu-jitsu." But now it's like you can't really say that one art cancels out another because this sport is just getting to another level. But do you feel that, like, I guess wrestling needs jiu-jitsu and jiu-jitsu needs wrestling, especially with this whole thing with the Olympics?
I agree 100%. I think to me the most efficient of martial artists have a couple weapons, and their weapons they're always great at something and they're really good at everything else. So if you take one and you mix with the other, like I'll give you like an example of a guy who's going to fight for the title against Anderson, Chris Weidman. He's a really phenomenal wrestler and his jiu-jitsu is amazing as well. You take a guy like who can take you down and not only take you down, now start looking for submissions, and he can take you down as he wants at will. That becomes a dangerous opponent for anybody, or a great striker who has great wrestling who doesn't allow you to take him down, and can keep it on his feet the whole time.
And I mean, and going back to the whole GSP thing, I mean, he proved when he fought Josh Koscheck that he's got amazing striking. He kept that fight standing up. He picked them apart. But the reason I asked you about if wrestling needs jiu-jitsu is because the whole, Olympic thing, there's no more wrestling involved. And they were saying that wrestling was going to be the key to get jiu-jitsu into the Olympics. And then, jiu-jitsu was going to allow, amateur MMA or possibly, like something else to help get MMA into the Olympics one day, even if it's at an amateur level or something. How do you feel about the fact that wrestling is gone from the Olympics and now people are kind of like, not everybody, but there's a lot of people who are kind of tossing the towel out. We're not going to see jiu-jitsu in there now.
Yeah, it's really horrible, because I think wrestling definitely deserves to be in the Olympics. You got sports in there that you can't even believe that are in there. You see some of the things that they have there. It's like, seriously, like, I'm not taking it away from any of the sports.
Don't say anything about ping pong.
Listen, I love ping pong. Ping pong's fun. You can't say ping pong is like an amazing athletic sport, though. But the fact is, it's like, like this. What's the name of that? There's a sport where the guy pushes the thing down the ice. And the guy's brushing.
It's like shuffleboard or something.
Brushing the ice,
yeah.
and then come on.
I think it's squash.
Like, really?
Yeah, something like
squash,
that.
I think.
Yeah, man. There's so many sports in there.
Yeah,
I mean, other martial arts that are in there, like Taekwondo. Like I'm like, you know what? They're gonna take away wrestling, and Taekwondo's in the Olympics. Like, you know, judo's to me is awesome. I think judo definitely deserves right next to wrestling, and I think jiu-jitsu should have been followed up with that. You know, like and for them to take away wrestling, to me that means we're 2 steps behind, and we're definitely never gonna get jiu-jitsu inside the Olympics. So it's horrible, man. It's horrible that they you should never remove something. You should always be adding something. You know, there's something there that they don't like or something that's not working right. They should adapt and change, but never remove. You know, especially with the world. You know, the world's so big, and there's so many athletes out there that deserve to try to get their chance to be in there.
Yeah. And before we start getting into your opinion as a teacher, as an instructor, because a lot of these wrestling coaches and different schools, high schools, they were when they first heard this, news about wrestling not being in the Olympics, they're like, we got all these students, who have been training, whether you're in high school and in college, their whole purpose is to get to the Olympics. Like that's been their whole goal. So what are they gonna do now? So I want to hear your opinion on that, and obviously we're gonna continue to talk about your fight coming up in Fight Time 14. This means war. You know why it's called This Means War?
Not really. I tell you the truth, I don't. I never asked Carlin Howard, but I'm sure there's a reason.
Yeah, they always come up with some pretty good slogans for their events, and also before I forget, Joslandi Cuba Izquierdo is gonna be making his debut with Fight Time. First this his new home, and obviously a local down here, a very favorite MMA fighter down here locally in South Florida. But let's take a quick break, and we'll continue talking with Vagner Rocha. And I want to get your opinion on all those things and a couple of other stuff that's been going on in the news that we love to hear about. I guess the opinions and the point of view of a fighter, because like I said earlier, we're not fighters. We try to understand and we appreciate what fighters do. It's not easy. You guys don't get paid enough. Hopefully one day MMA will get to the level where, like, Mayweather, who just signed, what was it, a $220 million contract for 6 fights?
Yeah.
Wouldn't you like to get $200 million for 10 fights?
About 1% of that.
About $1 million. That's crazy. Well, let's take a quick break, and we'll come back here in El Octagono with Vagner Rocha, and we'll talk some MMA news and get your opinion on a couple of topics.
Para estar más informado, visita www.eloctagono.com.